Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is February 9th and I am going to get some seeds started today. But first I'm going to show you how I mix my the seed starting mix I'm going to use, and then how to wash off the old cells and trays and stuff from last year. And then we are going to get planting. I will show you what I'm planting later on, but first I will show you how I do the seed starting mix. Alright, so first off, the parts you're going to need, or the things you'll need to make your own seed starting mix, is either coco coir or peat moss. I use peat moss. I mean, you can get this. I got this big bag, 2.2 cubic feet here at Menards for $14.99, I believe. And then you'll also need vermiculite and perlite. You do not have to use perlite if you don't want to. You can get by with just the peat moss, coco coir, or the coco coir, and vermiculite. So what I like to do first is I take the peat moss and I will sift it out. I do not want any big chunks in there. You want your seeds to start off growing perfectly, and you want to give them the best chance. So you do not want any big chunks or anything in there. So I will sift a bunch of this peat moss here until I think I have a good amount to at least start the seeds I want to start today. So I'm basically just going to start grabbing handfuls and sifting it through. Like I said, you don't want any big chunks. And you can see you get these big, I mean, you can break a lot of them up because this is a little damp right now. But the big chunks I'll just save and throw into the garden. So I will get a bunch of this mixed up, or sifted I should say, off camera, and then we'll come back to you when it's time to mix it all together. Alright, so we got a decent amount sifted, and if you're wondering, I just got this little soil sifter off of Amazon. I don't even remember how much it was, but that's where I got this one. And the key to a good seed starting mix is just nice, fluffy, loose soil. So as you can see, the reason why you sift it is look at all them big chunks there. There's all kinds of big chunks of sticks, and you do not want them in your cells when you're seed starting. You want the roots to just be able to go wherever they want without any obstruction whatsoever. So now we're going to show you how I mix up the seed starting mix. But first I should say, the reason why I make my own is if you're doing starting a lot of plants yourself, it is way cheaper to just buy these three components than it is to buy just the bag of seed starting mix. If you're only doing one tray worth or not that many plants, then this way is not going to be beneficial to you. It's just easier for you to buy a bag of seed starting mix. But like I said, this was $15, and this is a compressed bag of peat moss. And after it uncompresses, or whatever you want to call it, the 2.2 cubic feet almost doubles in size. And then I think the vermiculite was $5 and the perlite was $5. So I have $25 into here, and I can make a lot of seed starting mix. But the ratio I use is 6 parts peat moss to 1 part vermiculite, and like half or 3/4 part perlite. So I use this bin here as my finished seed starting mix. Whether you add fertilizer or not is up to you. You will probably see if you watch other videos or read about it. Half the people say add fertilizer, half will say not to. I'll show you what I do when we get to starting the seeds. So I just take a cup, I guess, and I'll try to mix up as much as I can. So I'm going to double it for right now. So I'll go 12 cups peat moss And this does not have to be perfect. And with this bowl of all these little bigger chunks and stuff, I will either add them directly to the compost pile, or I'll just spread them out in a bed somewhere. So that was 12 parts peat moss. And now I'll do 2 parts vermiculite. The other thing too is the vermiculite, peat moss, and not so much the peat moss, but the vermiculite and especially the perlite. Very, very dusty, so just be slow with the perlite. So I will add, like, not quite 1 part, like I said, half to 3/4, so this would be about 1.5 parts. Then I will just mix it all up really good, and what you have is something that will look like exactly what you buy in the store. Like I said earlier, you do not have to add the perlite. I like the look. I just like it having that extra aeration and drainage. And what you're left with is just perfect mix to start your seeds in. Very fluffy, loose, and your little seedlings will be off to a great start. I think I'm going to do 1 more round, and then we'll come back to you when I'm ready for the next step. So I got a few batches done here, which is going to be plenty enough for what I'm starting today. I'm not going to be starting a lot of seeds. If you look at what's in here, my guess would be this is 2, probably almost 3 of the little bags of seed starting mix you can buy at like Menards or the big box stores, whatever. So if you're spending $4 or $5 per bag, that's already almost the price of what I just paid for this, and we haven't even put a dent in that. Plus, we still have all that left. So that's how you can save a ton of money by making it your own, and this is exactly what you're going to buy in one of those bags. Now we got the seed starting mix ready. We're going to go in the kitchen and wash off everything I need to get started. So we'll see you there. All right. Another important thing to do is if you're using the same seed starting cells and trays as you did last year, is to wash them out. You want to make sure you get them nice and disinfected with some bleach, a little bit of hot water. You don't want any fungus or anything that might be in the trays or the cells to get into your new mix. You want to start nice and fresh and clean. And that's with any equipment you use, which I use these to put the soil in and seed starting mix. So I'm going to go ahead, get all these nice and washed off. I'm only going to do what I'm using today. I have a lot more, but I will just clean them every time before I start seed starting. So I'm going to go ahead, get all these nice and cleaned out, washed off. You just want to make sure you get everything out of them. If you're sensitive to bleach, you might want to wear gloves. So we'll come back to you after I'm done washing all this out, and then it's going to be seed starting. See you in a minute. All right, we're back. I got everything washed out and ready to seed start. So I just fill up a bucket here, and this is a little bit moist, but you always want to moisten your seed starting mix before you put them in the cells and before your seeds start. And I would do this even if you buy a pre-made seed starting mix. It is always a good idea to put boiling water into there just to kill off any fungus gnat larvae or whatever may be in there. You do not want to get fungus gnats in your house. They're a pain in the butt to get rid of. So I'll moisten this whole bowl, and you don't want to get it saturated to where when you make a ball of it, water's just dripping out. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit here before I give it a little mix. It'll be a little hot. I didn't let it cool down that much, I guess. So like I said, this boiling water will kill off any fungus gnat larvae in there. Alright, so I got it nice and moist here. You can see I squeeze it together and no water, maybe a drop or two dripping out. If that stays nice clumped together, that's about the consistency you want. And as I said earlier when I was making this mix, about fertilizer. You don't have to put fertilizer in here. The seeds have enough to get themselves going, but once the seeds or the young plants start growing and get their first set of true leaves, that's when you're going to want to start adding fertilizer, giving the plants fertilizer. And I usually do that from a water soluble fertilizer, but if you wanted to add fertilizer, you definitely can. I'll add some worm castings in here just to show you. So for this was, I think, probably like 2 gallons of soil, and you really only have to give a nice handful per like gallon of seed starting mix. So that's really all you'd need in here. And then give that a mix in. You could go a little more if you wanted to. You could also add an all-purpose fertilizer. Some plants I will add that into, and I'll show you which varieties I add that in when the time comes. So now it's just filling up the cells, which I'll fill up and nice thumb pack down in there so it's nice and firm on the bottom, loose on the top. Don't pack it down super tight. Just good little thumb packing. That's all you need. I am making a mess everywhere. So the other thing when you're starting seeds is you don't want to, you want to try to use all the same size when you're doing the one tray. You don't want the cells different heights or the pots different heights, because you want to, if you're like me, you need your lights as close as you can get them. So you want them all the same height. And you also want to try to start seeds that germinate and grow at the same pace. If your grow space is not very big, you don't have a lot of room or a lot of light, you kind of want the same varieties to grow together, just so you're not, some aren't 5 inches tall and the other ones aren't only an inch tall, and you're having to move the light further away from the smaller ones. Now I am going to not follow some of them rules today, but I have plenty of shelves and plenty of lights where I can adjust as needed. So now I got the 5-6 cell packs that I'm going to be starting today. What I'm going to be starting today is some herbs. I'm going to start parsley, cilantro, basil, and thyme. Now, it is a little early to be starting some of these seeds. I am about maybe a week early, maybe 2. But the reason I am going to start all these seeds is they are older seeds. So I'm going to plant them heavily, and hopefully I get some to sprout. But I just want to make sure these sprout before I order new ones, and this will give me a little bit of time if I have to replant them. And I'm also going to start Brussels sprouts, which it is also early for that, but if you've watched past videos, we struggle with growing Brussels sprouts, so I'm going to try something different this year. I'm going to plant some now, and then in a few weeks, maybe another month or so, I'll plant some more, and we'll see how it goes. And then also onions. That's all I'm going to be starting today. Might be a little early, but last year we got to get out in the garden fairly early last year. So if the weather holds up and it's like anything like last year, we'll actually be starting these on time. So I'm going to start with some herbs here. Like I said, these seeds are really old. So with herbs, the seeds are usually pretty tiny, and I'm going to heavily seed the trays. I'm going to do three Basically, I'm almost going to dump all these in these 3 cells on this side here. And some herbs, actually most herbs, if a lot of these sprouted in here, if you waited for them to grow for a couple months or so, you could pop the plug out and you could divide them and transplant them into their own things and get 2 plants or 3 plants out of 1 cell here. And then I'm just going to lightly scratch these seeds into the seed starting mix here. I'm not going to bury them deep. Some might still be on the surface, but I seeded it pretty heavy. And I think with these seeds, I'm just going to discard them because they are pretty old. Maybe I'll save them, but I'm probably due for some new ones. Next, I'll do the basil. And I'm going to do the same thing. Spread out all the seeds across here. Maybe not all of them. There's still a lot in there. And just lightly cover them. And with herbs, you really, I don't know if there's such a thing as starting too early, because you could technically grow these. I could grow these, or you could grow these, anybody could grow these under their grow lights and to mature size to use as needed in your house. These we have in the garden already, but most of these aren't going to come back. The winter here's are a little harsh for them. Next we'll do cilantro. Now cilantro is a bigger seed, but there's actually a bunch of seeds inside that one little pod there. So the cilantro with the bigger pods, I push them down in. And then thyme. Thyme is the only new seed pack that I have from this year, so you need a magnifying glass to see those. They are like strawberry seeds. And these are pretty much a surface sow seed. You just sprinkle them on top, pretty much that's all you need to do. And I don't even know if I can tell if I'm getting any on there. Oh, I see them falling out. And these are a surface sow, so you're just really not even doing anything. Just brushing right over them. So that's it for the herbs for now. I'm still waiting on a couple, like rosemary and a couple other ones I have not got yet. So I will start them here in a couple weeks or so. Now we'll go on to Brussels sprouts. And as I was saying earlier, the herbs, the onions, they can take anywhere from a week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks to germinate. Where these Brussels sprout seeds, they're going to germinate fairly quickly. And they're going to grow a lot faster than everything else. So I will have to move these into a different tray and under different lights. And with most everything, I always do 2 seeds in each cell just to guarantee one of them will come up. You don't want to do a lot of planting and have nothing come up just because you planted 1 seed. And now onions. So we're going to do a ruby red onion and Utah yellow Spanish. We did not do these red ones last year. We're going to give them a try, but we do these yellow Spanish every year, and they produce very well. They have a long storage life. So with onions, you can really overseed them. So I'm going to take this whole pack and plant them in this tray here. They can easily be divided later. Maybe not the whole pack, I guess. Whatever I think I'll need this year. Well, that's almost the whole pack, so we're going for the whole pack. They're not all going to sprout, but like I was saying, these have a very good shelf life. They've done well for us. We will grow these every year, and we still are using them from last year's garden. There's no rotting, no nothing. Still a perfect onion. Now this is one of the smaller ones, but they just store very well. And now for the onions, I usually just take a little handful of soil and skim over the top of them. just because there's so many seeds in there. And onion seeds do not have their viability does not last very long. So out of all the seeds you buy, you pretty much want to buy new onion seeds every year, because chances are next year the germination rate probably drops by 50% over just 1 year. And I messed that up because I do not have white label for them. So you can also use blue painter's tape and write on there, and I planted the yellow ones in here. So I'll have to switch the labels around after I'm done. I totally forgot I did that. Now we'll plant the red ones into the yellow one. Hey, sometimes that happens. If you wanted, you wouldn't have to do this many. You could drop, say, 12, 15, 20 seeds per cell there. I'm going all out. So that's all I'm planting for now. I will have to go and look and see when the next time I'm going to plant is, and I have to change these labels quickly. I will take them into the grow room, set them on a shelf, lower the lights down as far as I can. So if you have, the lights I have are basically about as minimum as you want to go when it comes to the lumens they have. So I have to drop mine really close. I like to be an inch or two above when they're starting out, and I won't turn the lights on for a couple days. Nothing's gonna germinate in a couple days. The Brussels sprouts, 5 to 10 days, so probably in 3 or 4 days is when I'll turn the lights on. You do not want the stuff to germinate with not having any light. So I'll turn the lights on in 3 or 4 days, and I'll leave them on while the Brussels sprouts all germinate. And then when they germinate, I will put them on a timer. And with how many seeds I planted and everything else, them being on a timer should be just fine. That's it for this video. Hope to see you back on the next one. I hope I taught you a couple things. Now it might seem a little scary and a lot of work to start seeds indoors on your own, but it's really not. Once you have been doing it for a while, you get the hang of it. You can do it all really fast, and don't be intimidated by it. It's simple, it's fun, and especially once you see the final product of transplanting them out to your garden and you get the fruit of your labor, as you will. Probably the worst part about it is acclimating them to the sun. That can be a little process, but that's also easy and not as hard as people make it seem. We will hope to see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.